on China history, and he speaks Chinese fluently. We have to test this at lunch. He speaks Chinese fluently. He has contributed to shaping national policy. He serves as a senior advisor to governments and national oil systems, facilitating development projects globally. He's a key architect of the new Silk Road policy, which is a fabulous thing. And this is my interjection, the fabulous thing. It's not on his bio, but it should be. Mr. Kamalabadi fostered trade cooperation between China and various regions. He secured historic US loan to China and facilitated numerous deals exceeding 30 billion US dollars. He leads innovative blockchain companies and he champions a sustainable global future. We are truly lucky and honored to have him with us today. The stage is yours, sir.
Blessings and greetings to my fellow colleagues, partners, friends, leaders. It is an honor to be first time in Portugal. Yes, I've been in 100 countries, but not Portugal. I am honored to be invited by our dearest spirit sister, Madame Fayomi, whom I met in Nigeria, August 2022. And since then, we have met many times. I was there also at President Tinubu's and Vice President Shatima's inauguration, where we had extensive discussions with them. I have today, I never prepare my presentation. So the inspiration just came. Let's start from the top and go to the specifics. First, the overview of the destinies of the world of humanity. We have come from where family, tribe, village, city-state, nation-building, and now the interplanetary system. The era of history is taking humanity into a turmoil, and yet the ultimate rise of the ascent of humanity is the goal, the destined goal. That means, like the birth of a new world civilization, and we call it the divine civilization, which is in the process of now labor. That means the mother humanity is in pain, panic, and in danger, but yet the calm will be coming. So it is what we call the collective maturity of the entirety of humanity. Albeit the vista of today's world is filled with wars, disputes, and a lot of inequality surfacing. All the, what we call, contradictions of humanity must first surface, create a rabbit, we can call it a havoc, until they are now, we can call pacified, unified, and the oneness of the world of humanity is achieved. Now we are the contributors of either the destruction of an old world order, or we are the builders of a new world civilization. I believe the community here, and the Forbes, and our FIN, the team here, they're all positive, constructive, capable. They are the forefront leaders of the change that is not ordinary. It is colossal change. Ever, I call it the horizontal growth of 10,000 years, will go to the vertical changes of the world of humanity. As we see, all the process up to the invention of telegraph that changed the game was so slow. Now we see how the movement of science and technology will create the oneness of the world of humanity, coming out of the ruins of disaster of wars, and even on the brink of a third world catastrophe. So forget about that, come to the new world. The new world is here. Now, when the humanity is coming to a re-encounter with itself, all the 5 continents will unite. Within the continents, the different nations, 240 countries will become as one nation. The earth is but one country, and mankind is the citizen of this one nation, the earth. All the ideologies that are exalting one race over the others, or they are creating this sense of hatred, pride, prejudices, all will disappear. And once a new humanity is born, even the thought of war will become changed. Any leader who starts a war is a losing leader because they did not have the power of mind, persuasion, negotiation, balance of powers, and also exchange swap of interest. Therefore, they resorted to war. Humanity will look at those leaders not as heroes, but as the disgrace of humanity. That time is in front of us. In that background, we will see that there are changes. I call a movement that I follow, that I created the name for. It's called Mega Capital Migration. The Mega Capital Migration from Europe's industrial development to North American continent discovery and the build of wealth, and then from America after World War going back to Germany and to Japan, then all of them, Germany, Europe, Japan, and Asia, investing in America, all of them collectively moving to China, where I steered the entire direction and the entire policy right, and now all of them are from Europe, US, China, India, right? All are now from the Middle East coming to Africa. That's why I created the movement Africa First. Africa First. It's not because of the superiority concept. No. Africans are humble. They are the servants of the world of humanity. The concept we should realize, like a mirror in front of us, is that it is Africa who has subsidized Europe for 500 years. Africa has not been exploited only. It has subsidized Europe for 500 years. Africa has subsidized the US of A for 300 years. And it is Africa that is subsidizing China now nearly 100 years. Well, we will make that subsidy official. Instead of Africa being perceived as the beggar and receiver and reliant on any foreign aid, stop. We will have the weaning away from the foreign aid. In fact, Africa is the source. Africa will generate wealth, will create surplus, and will distribute it among their own societies. Then, outbound will go Africa's official foreign debt within 3 to 5 years to Europe. Game over. The entire corridor will come. Is Africa capable of doing that? Yes, for sure. Does Africa have the mind power, the material power, spiritual power? Yes, it is the source and origin of human civilization. That's why we start from Kamba, the New Jerusalem, with Papa Simon Kimbango, where the core and the heart of the African continent is. And also Nigeria, the giant of Africa. And that's why my 2 years ago lecture, when Nigeria and Congo rise, the entire continent will rise. The movement that was created in March 2022, now 2 years and 2 months or 3 months. The movement that is called the Charter of the Future Trends Africa Manifesto. Future Trends Africa Manifesto. That created the movement of the collective, peaceful rise of Africa. It is collective because everyone participates. Most Africans and we foreigners. We are the humble servants of Africa. The tables turn around. And it is collective and it is peaceful. As we see now, there are many revolutions in the world. But hopefully, several of the changes within Africa are now peaceful. They are not like before Rwanda, 1-2 million people dying. Even Zimbabwe, the Zimbabwe President Monangala, when they were fighting with Mugabe, which I directed and orchestrated how to write a letter of truth before war, amnesty before fighting, so that there was no zero bullet, there was no transition of power with bloodshed, which is become now the model and the motto within 7 other countries. That means Africa have decided to take the power in the hands of the people in several countries, and yet they didn't do it with bloodshed. And we have created the motto that even the very political fabric of the African nations, no more main party, opposition party. It doesn't have to be 180 degrees and no division, collision, collision, collision. No, 45 degrees and 60 degrees, all of the parties going one direction, the elevation of the nations of Africa. No need for fighting inter-political. You can have differences of opinion, but build your nation collectively and together. The movement that is now called the surprise rise of Africa is already reshaping across the entire planet. That means you will see that first the buzz at the London Queen Elizabeth Hall in front of the Chancellor of the British government and 800 people I mentioned. That is over 2 years ago, nearly. The statement is this, that the trajectory of the Africa's finance and economy will set and determine the trajectory of the finance and the economy of the world. That the next decade, the number 1 engine of economy and finance of the world is Africa, number 2, India. No more China nor America. Not that we are against them, we are in favor of all elements of humanity. They will grow as they were receiving benefits from Africa, more so into Africa. But the buzz is that the convergence that Africa is first. Not in terms of, as I said, pride in the sense of being proud, but in the sense that this is the engine that is influencing the world economy. How does Africa move fast? Not Vision 2063. I sat with Madame Graça, the wife of Nelson Mandela in Mozambique, and she immediately recognized and realized Vision 2063 is too far, too little. We are not there. Whom are we promising to? Our youth are here now, 70% of Africa, and we cannot wait. Only in 1 decade, in 1 lifetime, we must make a fundamental total transformation in terms of numbers. First, the finance of Africa will have to hyper jump from $3 trillion to $60 trillion in 1 decade, no more than even a little bit longer than that, not more. So first, that. Do we have a benchmark for it? Yes. I created the movement in China, which later I termed the surprise rise of China, and everybody was surprised. It was $200 trillion economy, now $19 trillion economy. In fact, the movement of the China outbound investment, I'm known as the father of China outbound investment. I changed national policies in the year before the year 2000. That means 1993 to 1999. So, to summarize, there is a new Africa everybody feels on the horizon. That Africa, the rise is going to be domestic. Domestic wealth generation, the source mentality that Africa has everything. I call it a movement of from Africa, by Africa, in Africa, for Africa, and for export contribution to the world. This is called the balancer effect. If African nations, even the poorer ones, like Malawi, if African nations, the large ones, the largest black civilization on earth, Nigeria, if they can rise, create unities, release the domestic wealth, and not rely on foreign aid and even foreign direct investment, you have enough inter-provinces and states and cities to co-invest, to reinvest. That is what I taught China. To go to the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th tier cities and activate them. You need to have legislation that will take the interest rate of the banks from 33%, 28% to 8%. You have to make legislation changes first. Otherwise, the private economy will not. You are stifling your own economy and waiting for the outsiders to come to your rescue, where you have been rescued the outsiders. So it is a mind change. I sold to China a new realm of possibilities that they did not believe in. And they believed in it and acted, and they produced the results. When I went to China, China was the most backward nation. China was sending refugees to North Korea, for God's sake. China in 1988 at the airport of Hangzhou, I saw there, I was taking Madame Ruhia Rabbani. I was taking her in the night, and they were here, 7 goats, 20 chicken, and 50 people in dirt, walking slowly. That is 1988, only just recent. Okay, Africa will be first world citizen, not even second world citizen, not third world citizen. And that has to be all over Africa. The idea is not just a little bit of economic improvement. The idea is the entire 1.4 billion people, once for all, will be taken out of poverty by themselves and their own creativity, their own belief in their own destiny. And that will create the balance of effect for the world. Africa that is already richer than Saudi, Kuwait, Qatar, and others. When I talked this to the presidents of Africa, they jumped. Are we? Do we? And I said, I showed to them, yes. Saudi has only oil, no gas. Qatar has only gas and no oil. President Monangaba was so angry with his Minister of Finance. Why you didn't research these things to us? We always thought that we are poor, where we are not. Saudi has oil, no gas. Qatar, only gas, no oil. You have oil, gas, uranium, whatever you call it. You know yourself, or should I say not diamond, gold, digital, you know, every asset of the world and human capital. You are already by, as you said, economic numbers, 50x or 100x richer than the Arab countries. But their wealth is actualized, yours not yet actualized. The differentiation is only that. That's why I say, where is the US economy? All the development, all the technologies, and all the universities, everything, backed by the Federal Reserve, backed by the gold in the Fort Knox. Where? In the boxes, where? In the ground. Back to square one. Your gold and all your assets are in the ground. Theirs is developed and therefore monetized, yours is not. But it can, with the modern technology of blockchain, metaverse, AI, every asset down there, even the liabilities become assets. All your 80% of the artisanals, they can log in all the assets daily and therefore build the data, and that data is proven reserve better than what they call magnetic or any kind of exploration. Those data can become, you have your own, what we call inventory, and once you have the inventory of every asset, you will have your resource banks. Mineral resource bank, water resource bank, all the assets. You have the mineral, water, oil and gas, energy, you have water resources, like never in the West. So forestry, all of those will become the assets. And because it's a hybrid between classic assets and digital assets, they can be monetized like the banking note papers, once you have the inventory. That's why I said to the Minister of Finance of several African countries, including Burkina Faso, including Mali, President and Prime Minister Shugol, that I brought to Dubai. I said very clearly, don't need to even throw the foreigners out, the mistake that Mugabe did. You use them, more come in. Don't be afraid that some of the assets are gone. You have much more assets. This is an iceberg, the tip of which is being checked, and a little bit of this. Make the body of the iceberg come out and become monetized. Because whatever is under the ground, once it is recorded in the data, it's called data coin. You have your securities tokenization, you have your data coin and investment in between. You have a whole wallet in a divine order that will all come up so that the wealth of Africa will become actualized without mining, before mining, and before industrialization. Yeah. All the assets, you are the inventory backer of the developed world. So it only needs a little bit of reordering, a little bit of restructuring, a little bit of belief that we can do it collectively, and a little bit of transparency so that also what we call the foreign stealing of their assets, plus some of the leaders taking it to their own pockets, will be, their interest will be increased, not decreased. They shouldn't be afraid. Let the masses become activated. Let the private economy become become activated. When you start into the movement of building of the wealth, I saw how pessimistic China was. They forgot about all their fightings and differentiation and being anti-government and anti-the West and everything. They were too busy making money. So I saw when they wrote the book, The Ugly Chinese, Follow the Jungle. Then River Elegy. All of the people in the history of China, every single one of them, I influenced. Even the last son of the last emperor. Nobody knows. I went to his home several times. I'm the only foreigner that has ever met him. The number one ideologue of China, Taizhou, I took to Oman. The first ever time he went out of the country. The only foreigner he befriended. We influenced every single mind leader. Now it's time for Africa. It is only your own recognition of your own greatness. You will take your own identity, polish it, and look at it and say, wow. Utilize it to build a nation and give it to the world, and the world will say, wow. That is called the surprise rise of Africa. Because it is no longer the black or the white race or the yellow race or the whole humanity is one family. When I go, and I went to Kamba many times, and this time we are going, and I bowed down in deep bow in front of the black races as symbolic, and they felt the genuinity. They thought that the order is restored, a person on behalf of all the, in the prophecies they wrote about a white who is not white, an American who is not American. That was me, Papa Simon, in his prison. So when I did that, they said that the order is restored. And the black don't need to have any hatred against the white, because you are in your own mind for your own soul superior. We don't need to compare. The world needs unity, embrace, and oneness, and nothing else. You Africans, and I'm saying you because I was not born there. Otherwise, I feel I want to be part of that, because that's my origin. That's my ancient parents, the origin of human civilization. But you African, I wrote the last sentence of Africa Manifesto. Many of the leaders, they themselves marked the different points to show me which one that they have read. And the one they mostly liked is this, that for sure you will be super wealthy. If from China that was so poor, I created, and with all of them, they did it, not me, I'm nobody. But we gave the arrow of the direction and the platform, as we are now helping with the whole of Africa. They do the job, you do the job. But when they started, they had no belief in themselves, became super rich, and they went outbound. Now it is exactly my belief. In China, we created, now everybody knows who is the number one source of the billionaires in the world. 840 billionaires, China. Then America, then France, and other countries. Okay, but China and its surprise rise created billionaires. In Africa, sure, within 10 years you will have trillionaires. Because China is one country, Africa is a continent. That's why I said Nigeria in relationship to Africa is like China for Asia. I saw when China was very poor, the changes. The whole of Asia rose because of China's rise. Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, most of them, including Dubai, was always 5 years to 10 years behind China. When China created the Oriental Tower, years later, Dubai finished the Burj Khalifa. So, we see how the effect of one major force, when they come to the realization of their powers, when they forget about the war, hatred, and other things, and complaints. No complaints. No need horizontally to depend on foreign aid, no need to vertically wait for the government subsidies. Forget about the end of subsidies in Africa. You don't need to subsidize a nation and people that are wealthy. You think they are not wealthy, they are wealthy. Is the reality, I went to the farthest corners of China where there was 1 million villages had no electricity. They called them natural villages. There was a name for it. I traveled through all of them, 1980, 87, 89, before the year. Africa was not worse. It now shows, yes, a friend that I just helped. I saw a crying angel in the police station of Dubai, which I helped a little bit. Now she's gone to Kenya. Yes, she lives in the shacks, but her heart is this level. She is going to the poorer areas and helping them. Now she's coming with us to Congo, with our 20% delegation. I see and I saw the dignity that is in Africa, in the masses, in the rural area, in the low levels. They will all rise because of you, because of us together. Because we are selfless. It's not about me. I don't matter. I don't exist. When the Nigerian interviewer asked me, Dr. Farzam, they call me doctor, but I'm a servant. Why you are so humble with all connections with the president of this country and that? And I thought, if I take credit for any humility, I lost it all. I only work on one topic, purity of motive. Nothing else. All the other businesses happen. At the moment, I've taken several Chinese delegations on in China, some the Africans going to Middle East, all the delegations, Mayor of Beirut, now receiving the hydraulic power station investors. So we are doing parallel things many times. He said, why are you so humble? I said, I am not humble. I am utilitarian. Imagine you have $1, and somebody says, I'll give you $1.5 billion. But the condition is you drop the $1. You tear the $1. What will you do? Now somebody says, I'll give you $8 billion and you have your $1, drop it. I said, I put the dollar in the ground, I put my shoes on it, and I will just burn it like that. And I am not $1. It is the destinies of 1.5 billion people of Africa that matters, not me. It is the destinies of 8 billion people of the planet that matters, not me. There is no humility. I am only utilitarian after getting the results. Through you, through whatever you do, this news will go that Africa is on a determined path on the rise as China did. And therefore, everybody will start believing in it and acting on it, and therefore, it becomes a reality. As simple as that. The superior mind and heart, and in economy. Now, we as future trends, we came here, and my dear sister finally said, I have how many more minutes? I take it. Oh, 4 minutes, good. Intuitively, I never in my life wrote any notes, except my Persian poetry. No school, no university, nothing, no notes. And I was talking to my brother on that. I go only by two concepts, system-oriented mind, process-oriented mind. With that, there is a logic, and that logic that you purview everything. 32 years ago, I wrote an article, if somebody changes 3 words in it, I will know. Why? Because it is a logic that was there, not because of my memory is that good. So, the point is this. I was asked to also talk about my future trends system. We have a global system that the German engineers, they called it the matrix. It's a matrix with all the dot matrices. Every connectivity now is air rail, except ours is infantry style. On the planet, in over 150 countries, we have 10 million network resources connections. That includes, for example, in Malawi, we meet 3 former presidents one by one. And the president, Chikawera, officially, the vice president, who unfortunately now is in the other world, we met for 1 hour. And then also the chairwoman of the National Assembly, the prime minister, we call Madame SPC, every minister, only the government series, the bank series, the media series, the academic series, the youth series, the women series. We create a whole matrix in every country. We have 150 countries to different levels. That network now is in the hand of Africa. I started after the macro mindset change, now action. So now mayors and governors of Africa are coming with me to Japan, Korea, China, Arab countries, Saudi, US, Europe, and all my network is in their hands. Whenever they go to any country, I bring minimum 100 investors. Not in a conference, not like this, but group by group, 1 by 1, 5 by 5. Taylor, that's my governor brothers. Maybe there is a take from this. So that means you can create 20 sectors in your area, 10 sectors, and 10 players each, come with a project that is executive summary and come with me. Whether it is Saudi, I have 130 royal families, including the grandson of the first king. And we will go to all of these countries, and I guarantee in each of your delegations, I will bring 100 minimum investors and operators. And we rotate it in many, many countries. It is called back-to-back, multi-point to multi-point through you. So that is my promise, that whatever we do here as a business, and it is commercial and will make money, all my money will go to Africa. Zero of it will go to other countries. And also, she and the organization must have their own legitimate revenues. I am a believer that everybody should benefit from it. So we will create a win-win-win-win-win, multi-win, and nobody ends up with the short end of the stick, except prorated. Not everybody will grow at the same level. This is why all the global systems of the world, they know what Farzam is. Including, I openly say, FBI, including national security, they sat with me many times, and in many countries, their securities. And they know, Farzam, you are independent, neutral, and supra. And the FBI says, supra, that means you are above us. And I laugh and say, yes, because I have a common denominator of the good of humanity in mind. And that's why everybody joins into that movement, because it's not me. I don't exist. I'm the dot that doesn't exist. It's a concept. It's a movement. It is no leadership in the world, but the leadership is here. The leaders are dividing, killing, and they are still on the fight. And sorry, the inversion. The real revolution is in the mind and in the